I'm Jessica Rhodes. I'm here to help you rock the podcast from both sides of the mic. And if you saw my video 2 weeks ago, are you using your podcast swimmies? You know I love a good analogy. Just like you plant flowers and water the garden and continue to water the garden and weed the flowers to make sure that they bloom, you need to water your podcast interviews. If you are going on podcasts as a guest expert and you actually want that to grow your business, you can't just go on the podcast. You can't just plant flowers and expect them to bloom. You need to be doing lots of things after the podcast interview to make sure it grows your business. So here is a list of a couple of things you can do. Number 1, be sure to send that podcast host a thank you note or a gift in the mail. Number 2, add a blog post to your website with a link out to the podcast website where your podcast interview is. Number 3, promote the podcast in your email newsletter. So say, P.S. did you hear me on this podcast? And link to the interview there. Number 4, when you're booked for an interview, post on Facebook. Say, booked, so excited to appear on XYZ podcast. Number 5, have a press page on your website where you're listing out all the podcasts that you've been appearing on as a guest expert. That is 5 things that you can do to really make your podcast interviews grow your business. If you're not doing all of that and more, you can't expect podcast interviews to grow your business. If you want to learn how my team and I can help you rock the podcast as a guest expert, go to interviewconnections.com, and to listen to my podcast, go to jessicarhodes.biz. Thanks so much. I'm Jessica Rhodes, here to help you rock the podcast from both